This is on, right? Can you guys hear me? Great. Well, you made it impossible to follow, Charles. So, my name is Andrew Kragness. I'm super happy and fortunate and thankful to be here. So thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Goldman School. What I'm going to be talking about today is the future of design within the AEC industry. AEC industry being the architecture, engineering, and construction industry. I'll tell you a little bit about myself before we get into what I want to talk about and the ideas that I want to plant in everyone's minds here today. But I grew up in Wisconsin to son of an electrician doing everything on his own, original DIYer. I went to architecture school, and architecture has been my formal training. And once I left, I decided I wanted to completely change and go a different direction. I went into robotics, I went into some film, and what I realized is that I really wanted to get away from the construction industry because, again, that's where my dad was at. I wanted to just upend it and totally change. And today I find myself in the thick of it, and I couldn't be happier and I couldn't be prouder of where I'm at today. What I specialize in is what I say building the unbuildable. And I don't do this on my own, I do it with teams. And what I've become to realize today is that nothing is ever done of meaning if you do it alone. And so what I'm going to be talking about today is these three things. This is the future of design in the AEC industry. I'm just giving you guys the answers right off the gate. The first one is a mental shift, where it's design to build, not design and then build. And I'll hit on why this is important. The second one is information symmetry, and that's what's going to tie us all here together in the theme of what everyone's been talking about, because there is space in the AEC industry to bring information symmetry together so we can all be having the same conversation. And then the last one is source of truth, which I'll get to that at the end. It ties into information symmetry. But first I want to show this report that Goldman Sachs came out with a few months ago. Since AI is a hot topic, it's been talked about here today. This shows the possible influence of different industries over, here in the future, or in the near future. The reason why this is important, I'm not going to go into their research, but I'm going to go into an observation. Right now, what we're seeing in this graph is there's a huge possible influence in the architecture and engineering, not so much in the construction side. And this is what I find really fascinating, because I aborted architecture proper and I went to a manufacturer to learn how things are made, to learn how things are built. And this is when I realized that this industry is actually pretty disaggregated. Right now, this is a typical workflow, or process rather. It starts on the front end, and it's a very linear process to the end. This all starts with contracts, right? We get into project management, project schedules, how you're going to build buildings. Then you get into like a digital model. From the digital model, you start to cut drawings, 2D things of a 3D thing nowadays. Those go to the city, they can get permitted, and then you get into the actual realization of things being built in the field, hand sketches, and the physical form. And for me, what I'm seeing now is that we're at a moment in time where the industry is actually so disaggregate that there's a great opportunity to bring these two together, to really create an integrated pipeline and to put the same tools in each other's hands. And I've learned this from working for manufacturers. I now work for a very innovative subcontractor, a medium-sized contractor here in Los Angeles or SoCal area. We have not branched out through the America yet, but it's something that we're looking into because the capabilities have changed. The tools have changed. So I would be on the right-hand side here now with a computer. Our company is here on the right-hand side with a computer, and we're starting to influence how things are actually being designed on the front end. And this brings me to information symmetry. Information symmetry is the link that allows this industry to once again communicate the same language. We're going to take on a little sidebar here, but our company also is invested into also funded AR development for construction over the past 5 years. I'm going to say that it wasn't a huge success. There was the over-promised delivery of being able to construct from reality, like construct in reality from a digital overlay, right, or mixed reality nowadays. And it was research, it was R&D, but the biggest thing that came out of this is that what it allowed someone to do is it allowed someone to see information, right? It represented it in reality. We couldn't get it to be accurate, but it's more like a HUD, like a heads-up display. And this is really the point that where we see the industry going forward is there's a physical world and there's a digital world. And they should be synonymous, they should learn from each other, and it's a reciprocal relationship. And that's not dissimilar to the relationship that we see between subcontractors, manufacturers, architects, who I'm going to introduce in a little bit, and everyone along that project pipeline, financial stakeholders. And this is what information symmetry is. Information symmetry is saying that no matter if it's a contract that allows people to do work or you engage into doing a project, that contract is equal to the drawings and the specifications that go out and get bid. It's equal to the digital model. They're not different. They're exactly the same. Right now in the industry, these are disaggregate. The reason why information symmetry is so important moving forward is because decisions get made by a multiplicity of people throughout the project pipeline. And most of the time, those decisions are isolated. They're not being fed back to appropriate people. And right now, contract structure is one of the things that inhibits clear communication. So information symmetry is basically just saying that it doesn't matter if it's drawing on a PDF, and then that PDF gets printed out, it's a black line on white paper, and it doesn't matter if it's a black line on white paper that happened to come from a spreadsheet, from a financial document or a financial dashboard. It's not dissimilar than the 3D model that gets made. So it's embedding metadata in all these digital assets, right? But really what it needs to do is it needs a source of truth. And the source of truth at the center of this is no different than everything else that we're talking about. It's all data, right? And what we really need out of the source of truth is to be able to gain access to it and reframe it and revisualize it, because everything that we do nowadays is digital. Your iPhone is digitally displaying something, right? Your TV is digitally displaying something. It's all coming from ones and zeros. It's not any different than the contract that you print out or that you email. Maybe you don't even have to print it out anymore. But what we're trying to focus on is we're trying to create a link now between the physical environment and how does that get re-represented and input into the source of truth. And so we're trying to link all these things together. We're a medium-sized company. We don't have all the capital in the world to do this, but the culture that we have at Martin Brothers here in SoCal is we do everything with an innovative mindset. It's a pedagogy for us. And so we've stolen architects from the architect side, and we've brought them into a core team. And we have about 15 individuals that are only working on computational models. They're working on the dilemma of how do we represent information to different stakeholders, whether it's going to be financial dashboards to our financial stakeholders of the company, to our clients, to the GC. We're trying to create an ecosystem or a platform that basically mends all this stuff together and creates a pipeline of communication, because at the end of the day, we would work for a client, whoever's going to be the main financial stakeholder, investor into a building, like not dissimilar to what we're in here today, and they want to know what's going on. So this is a pretty easy concept, or at least a pretty easy goal to understand. And right now, it's a streamline of communication through industries and data, and the most simplified approach that we can just leverage from other industries.